Those who are tuning in, thank you so much for tuning into the Sisters Talk podcast. I am your host, Danny M. And today we have special guest, Dr. Tamika Newman. Woo! And let them know how you're affiliated with PV. I mean, that's like the school, right? In Houston.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm an alumni, and I currently work there as an assistant volleyball coach.
Awesome. Now, I know so many of my personal friends that love volleyball. So I know they're going to tune in today just to check you out, just because of the sport that you coach.
That's good.
So also, we want to know a lot about you because this title, Grateful and Greedy, that really caught my attention. I just want to know a little bit about you first before I start asking about your book. I want to know where you're from. And if you're not from the Houston area, how long have you been living here?
Okay. Well, I'm from Houston. I'm from Northeast Houston, not very far from the airport, Intercontinental Airport. Product of Aldine ISD for elementary, middle, and high school. Was an athlete, multi-sport athlete, so played sports a lot as a way to get out of the house. Is how I initially started, and then really fell in love with basketball and volleyball, and started having hopes of playing both in college. So Prairie View let me come play both. So I went to Prairie View on a scholarship to play basketball and volleyball. Really underestimating the load. I only did basketball 2 years. I did volleyball 4. I had a really, really great volleyball career there. We won the conference tournament. My senior year, I was conference player of the year. Graduated during the middle of the recession in 2008. Hadn't done many internships. Wow. My goal at the time was I went to college wanting to be the next Pam Oliver. So I was very interested in sports reporting. She was my idol. She went to a HBCU. I went to HBCU. Just got really busy with sports. I did one internship at 610 Sports Radio in Houston and realized I did not like sports radio. I was, yeah.
What turned you off? Like, what turned you off from it?
I think some of the usual things for African Americans that when you pick a field that there aren't many people of color, persons of color in, it's very intimidating. And that was no different. I was very interested in being on air. I think they placed me in a room every day for a couple hours. They didn't even give me any duties to do, take out the trash. I was pretty much invisible. And everything I had read about trying to enter that field, it was really daunting. It wasn't positive. It was like, this is going to be a slow climb. There was hardly any African-American women in it. And my internship made me, it really didn't
even
help.
less interested. Yeah.
It was like,
well, good thing that it exposed the truth, right? Before you.
Yes, it did. So I decided to go to graduate school at Texas Southern, which was a huge adjustment because that's our rival. I mean, I had just got through, talking trash to the volleyball team, for 4 years before that. We had a very intense rivalry. Whenever we saw the girls at different events around Houston, we kind of mean mugged them. They kind of mean mugged us, and they looked up, and I was hanging out in the athletic building, and I got a couple of eye rolls and neck rolls. And needless to say, I didn't care. I was SWAC player of the year. You're not gonna check me, right?
Right.
So I was a graduate student for the athletic director, Charles McClellan, who's now the SWAC commissioner. He had recently took a job at Texas Southern as athletic director. He left Prairie View, so he was my AD. He got the job. I called him, hey, I can't find a job. Now I don't know what I want to do. He's like, hey, come be my assistant. So I was his assistant for maybe 4 months, and then women's basketball stole me, and I became their operations assistant. and helped plan travel. And I started getting really interested in athletic administration. I also helped out with sports information. I had a background and experience in that as undergrad. I actually, speaking of sideline reporting, we kind of did created a makeshift sideline reporting gig for me where I would be on the sideline with actual tape recorder, record the coaches at halftime, post game, pre game. I would run it up to the press box, literally through the bleachers, and our radio guy at the time would play it. He would play me interviewing. So my dream of being a sideline reporter, I mean, it kind of came true. Now they have a whole, department dedicated to that. But I can say I was the first sideline reporter.
You were the pioneer. That is amazing.
Bootleg.
That's awesome. We always end up where we need to be, right?
We do. And I end up later meeting Pam Oliver's husband at a volleyball tournament, and he called her for me. So
wow, that's incredible. Look at you manifesting into reality.
Exactly. It really, people look at me crazy when I said that when I was a kid, Pam Oliver, you want to be the next, whatever. So I went through graduate school, and my best friend's dad called me back from the neighborhood. They still live in the neighborhood. He said, "Hey, can you come and coach volleyball and basketball at a charter school?" It was the Yes Prep charter schools. This was maybe
I know all about Yes Prep. Yes. Shout out to Latifa Muhammad. Yeah.
Nice. So this was one of the first. It was the Yes Prep Northeast campus. And they were willing to work around grad school and all the stuff I had going on. And they wanted me to come back and coach. He thought I would be a great fit. I was from the neighborhood. And so I said, okay, I'll go do this. Hadn't thought about coaching. Was not on my radar. I go back to coach, and the kids, they're very low. Their levels are low. Their skills are low. I started low. I didn't have a problem working, and so I just rolled my sleeves up and taught them the best way I knew how. I took a kid home one day, and when I pulled up, it was very clear to me there was no electricity and no plumbing.
Wow.
And I remember being, incredibly sad, but motivated. I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't taken the kid home. As you know, the school is their mission, and they're very clear about it, is to develop and to guide and to help kids secure admittance into college. And almost all of the kids are first in their family to do that. So the kids they accept are very determined to do that. They work really, really hard. They don't make excuses. And this kid was no different. And it reminded me of myself. And I was nearing the end of grad school, still hadn't secured a lot of internships, had learned a great deal from working in athletics. I knew I wanted to stay in sports. And I decided, hey, I'm going to go try to be a teacher and a coach. I'm going to go try to be what somebody was for me. And that started a 10-year career as a coach. I coached charter, private, and then I coached public for 9 years. So I coached public as a JV coach, coached Auburn for 1 year, and got a hunch that you can go do this. You can go be a head coach. And I went on 7 interviews. And naive, it never dawned on me that I had not seen very many Black volleyball coaches. It never dawned on me. And I went on 7 interviews. The first 3 people called me back, gave me raving reviews. They enjoyed my interview. I was just as impressive in person as on paper. And they offered me to be a basketball or track coach.
Wow, look at that. This is a really inspiring story.
So they offered me to be a basketball and track coach, but I applied to be a volleyball coach.
Right. So you dissed the track? You didn't do the track?
Well, I wanted to be a volleyball coach, as I became more and more aware of the fact that there weren't many, my obsession grew with becoming one of a few. And that has been a theme for me throughout my life. Rejection. If I feel like I'm being rejected from this, then I'm going to be overly obsessed with trying to do it. And that's what I became. And about the 5th interview, I was offered to be a head coach. And I went on to be at that school for 5 years. And the honeymoon phase lasted just 1 year there. And
honeymoon. What does that mean? What happened?
I came in and I won fast. I went 30-8. My best kid was 6'2" lefty. She was on her way to Rice, but she could have went anywhere. And then the supporting cast were just amazing kids from great families. They were tired of losing. They were like, okay, can you help us win? We'll listen to anything you say. And that's what they did. They listened to everything I said. We went 30-8. First time playoff appearance for that school. The buzz around the school and the community was great. That year, I think 3 kids went on to play college at the next level. So in 5 years at that school, we produced 15 kids that went on to play. The numbers were unprecedented. We were rolling out kids that were able to play, whether it was junior college, D2, D1, and they were ready to play when they got to college. So we were doing well. But anywhere you're doing well, there's a lot of challenges. Travel ball creates a lot of challenges for high school coaches. We don't have the luxury of picking the best 12, the 12 best 15-year-olds. We got to pick the best 15 kids that are already supposed to go to this school. They're already zoned here. I got to pick the best 15. So sometime in that 15 is a freshman and, a freshman, and that bumps out a junior that ain't very good. So you've got issues with class, bringing up younger kids that are good. You've got issues with everybody wants the limelight and you just can't spread it out enough.
I can imagine.
The stakes are really high because of what people are spending. So I coach travel ball. A season of travel ball could probably cost a family, I would say on the low end, $7,000. On the high end, if everybody travels to every tournament, $15,000. I've watched people max out credit cards for their kids to do it. So when you add in someone spending $7,000 to $15,000 since a kid is 12, when they get to high school, I tell you your kid is behind so-and-so and not really going to play a lot, you got a problem with that.
Gonna be some ruffled feathers. Yeah, for sure.
And what it did was the environment was so toxic. I wasn't used to it because we just hadn't invested that much money. I had invested sweat equity. You know what I mean? If I'd have been mad, but we hadn't invested at that level of money when I was coming up. It was competitive. We wanted a scholarship, but we hadn't invested so much money that it caused us, just be crazy and lose all integrity. So it went on to be a pattern of that. And I was winning, but I was losing because I was developing a lot of anxiety. Opening my email was like a task in the morning because I'm going to be called every name in the book.
Hit you like,
yes.
Wow.
So I remember saying I would not be surprised if I have a stroke before 30. I've had the craziest thing. So I had my daughter, Zuri. She's premature. I had her my 5th year at this dream job. And it was the first time I had been still probably in all my life. I was on bed rest and then had her early. I had a hospital stay of about 6 weeks. And it was the first time I had stopped. I had been playing multiple sports in every club, anything to stay busy, anything that I thought would help me be somebody one day in life. I took advantage of every free resource in my neighborhood, at my school, literally every single free resource. And that's kind of, I'll talk about being greedy later, but If it was free, I found it and I participated in it. If I had to walk a mile to wherever it was taking place, I participated in it. So I was big on finding free resources. Nothing was ever paid for me. My AAU coach, his business, he worked for NASA. They sponsored me. So
that's big.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I love that you tell. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I really love the gem that you just slid in there. You said I did everything for free. Anything I found free, I jumped on it. You didn't pass up any opportunities. That's awesome.
And I really and that's what I preach to kids that come from similar backgrounds. I'm like, there's resources. You got to take it upon yourself to find them. They're out there. You know, there's just so much stuff that goes unused because no one's seeking it out. But it's out there. It's just a dream job, ultimately because of the stress and having my daughter and getting the rest for 6 weeks helped me to realize that my health was more important than trying to win volleyball.
Listen, I was just talking to a friend about that. Women, we just go, and we don't realize balance, our health.
Exactly. You know? Exactly. And it was probably God, because I remember losing 17 pounds. I had joined Black Girls Run before I found out I was pregnant, had lost 17 pounds. I mean, I was doing it. You know, I was, great shape, never had any health issues. Found out I had fibroids and was pregnant, at the same time. Wow. And all of a sudden, I'm a high risk patient in the hospital. And I'm somebody who can, I
can still play fast. I mean, I don't mean to interject, but let's talk about this really quick. Okay. And hold your thought because I don't want you to forget. But look at what just happened with Chadwick Boseman. Like, I know his family and really close friends may have known, that he had cancer for the last 4 years, but we never know. It's just crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. Black people, especially, we have to make sure we're checking ourselves annually to make sure, that we're good.
Exactly. And not just, I think we have resilience a little, our idea of what it means to be resilient could stand to be modified just a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For facts. We do too much. We need to take care of ourselves. Yes, we do too much for everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my daughter was born premature. I went back to work and similar circumstances. So I said, hey, I've done well here. I'm going to move on. And maybe it's different at another school. So I went to a school, not as successful, and got started working my plan to help it be successful, because everywhere I've showed up hasn't been big time. Everywhere I went was small. It was people didn't know about it. Volleyball wasn't a big deal. There was no school spirit. So it was my kind of place. This was my ideal thing. I like to show up to stuff and leave it better. So I got to this school, and it was majority Black and brown school. And there were way more challenges than I had the power and resources to deal with. One of the big things was the distance some of the kids lived from the school, which was a huge challenge, because for me, I'll go get you.
Right. Yeah.
If you can't afford, I'll go get you. I'll come up to the school every day, the whole summer. We'll do open gym after school the whole off season. The way I was able to help kids get better is I showed up, I unlocked the gym, you worked. So it was no excuse that you couldn't afford travel ball. But this particular school, there were too many roadblocks. So prior to taking that job, an affluent school had contacted me. I interviewed, did really, really well, and they could not place me. My teaching field didn't match up. They had no vacancies for what I was certified.